So welcome back to the channel. I am very excited indeed. This that's in here is something that I've already got, in the sense that I have things of the same generation, of the same age, but this is just a little bit different and it's just a little bit more complete than some of the stuff I've got. So I'm very excited to be opening this today. I'm hoping it survived the travel. I'm hoping the courier hasn't dropped it. It has got a fragile sticker on it, so that's helpful. I took out the address label obviously, but very excited. Really hope it's still going to be working when I get it open. So let's open it up. One thing I can tell you straight away, it's heavy. So this is the first of the two boxes. This contains the main thing we're interested in. Plenty of bubble wrap, so that's nice. And there it is. And as you can see, it is a Zenith Data Systems laptop. Well, not exactly laptop. We'll come to that in a bit. So why was I keen to get this? Well, Zenith, apart from one specific model that sold very well to British Telecom, Zenith didn't really do super well in the UK, certainly not as well as they did in the States. They did sell to corporates. I'm not sure if they sold to individuals. So Zenith systems in the UK are actually a little bit uncommon. I do have one of those Super Sports that is XPT, and I do also have that XT type machine, the compact one from the video a few months ago, which is also a little bit unusual. But this is different again. This is an XT class laptop. Specifically, it's a ZWL 18393. So basically, it's an XT class luggable computer. Condition-wise, it looks pretty good. All the exterior plastics look like they're intact. A little flappy door at the back seems to be present. Doesn't have the optional modem by the looks of it, but otherwise everything is as you'd expect it. There's a little bit of yellowing here on the hinge, but at least the hinge is in one piece. Two catches on the top. What about the bottom? Yeah, looks good. There is a handle here at the front, a bit like those Toshibas of the similar sort of age. It's got a nice mechanism actually. It's nicer than the Toshiba ones, which feel a bit kind of janky if you don't get them in completely straight, but this feels very well engineered. Nice. Okay, so I presume these are the lid catches. Again, they've got a nice little click to them. And I presume that's open. Yes. So here we have it in all its glory. As you can see, the screen is rather tiny compared to the lid, but they've done a really good job of using the two-tone plastics to kind of disguise that. I'm guessing it may have been available with a larger screen, given that this kind of this bezel looks like it could be removable and bigger screen put in there. It's got a full travel keyboard, a little bit of flex in the actual base palm rest that it's on, but it's a nice feeling keyboard. Standard layout. 10 function keys because it's XT. We do have a function key here for 11 and 12 for LCD/RGB and for numlock. There's a very large gap between the keyboard here and the screen, and that's one of the kind of unique features of this machine. The floppy disk drives are hidden in these compartments. It's a bit like that early IBM PC, except they open up when the hinge opens up. This is a definitive, you have to open these up separately. It's a metal catch, which is nice. And this model is the one that's got the hard disk. There's no floppy disk here, there's a hard disk on this side instead. Sliders for brightness and contrast, indicators for 2 drive activities and power, low power specifically. Lid engineering is nice. We've got these little catches that pop down into these recesses, but the recesses are covered with a little flap. So you can't see their holes until the lid is closed. That's nice, nice touch. Yeah, ergonomically, it looks pretty good. That screen is tiny. The rubber bumpers on the screen seem to be in very good condition. They're not dirty or squished or becoming plastic sized. We've got a power on switch and a power in here. And then around the back, there's this flap, which presumably has... So yes, under here we have a 9-pin CGA output, standard serial port, standard parallel port, proprietary floppy disk controller here, and it looks like there might be an expansion bay here of some kind. Not sure what that is for. That'd be super sweet if it was for an sort of 8-bit ISA slot, but I'm guessing it's not going to be, but we'll have to look. Nice. Just look at these hinges. I mean, they are massive and very well engineered. I'm really liking the aesthetics of this machine. I don't know how much this weighs, but it's significant. Anyway, that's the first box. What was in the other box? So hopefully one of the things that's in this box is the power supply. But I believe there are some more things in here too. And here we have an IEC cable and a power supply. So this looks like it's got a standard barrel jack on it, which is unusual. A lot of laptops around this time have proprietary 3, 4 or 5 pin connectors. So that's nice that it's that straightforward. I've got a feeling the Super Sport I've got, the polarity is reversed, it's center negative. So that's just something to be aware of. I don't know if we're going to be using it or whether we're going to end up using a generic power supply with it. I'm hoping it's working. It's in not bad condition, a little bit of cobwebs and a bit of paint. And then the other thing that's interesting in here is this. So we actually have the original Zenith Data Systems MS-DOS version 3.2. So the packaging for that, which is very nice. Let's open it up, see what's inside. Inside we have this very nice kind of binder, a quick reference guide. So that's all your commands and their options, a model number and a serial number. So MS-DOS R version 3.2, model number OS6343. That presumably used to be stuck on something. Probably on this. Yes. And then we have an envelope with a floppy disk in. I presume that has been opened before. So we have a registration card with that same sticker on. And then we have a floppy disk. So the most commonly seen operating system installed from diskette is DOS 622, and that takes 3 or 4 floppies. And this is version 3.2. It's on a single 720K floppy disk. So the operating system is much smaller at this point. Zenith were a big company in terms of licensing MS-DOS, so it's likely there's some proprietary changes to the MS-DOS that's on here. Then we have another bag, another envelope, which looks like it might be a license agreement. Important notice. Okay, so this is an extra page for your user guide that covers EMMSys. And then finally we have the MS-DOS user's guide and user's reference. Brilliant. That's in very good condition. It's quite generic in the sense that it doesn't show this particular laptop in the pictures. It's a standard desktop by the looks of it. That is quite a chunky reference. I wonder if there are any Zenith specific commands in there, or whether it's the generic one. It's nice. The binder's in very good condition as well. No cracks in the ring binder there. Really nice. Get the power supply plugged in and see if it boots up. So I'm not going to test the power supply first on the basis that the seller had a picture with it working, so I know this is at least working. It hasn't been stored in the shed for 20 years and we're going to be turning it on for the first time. I know it's been turned on recently. Okay, we're plugged in. There's no power indicator light on the power supply itself, but I'm assuming it's switched on. Let's turn on the laptop. Okay, well, power is working because we have a backlight come on, but we have error messages coming up. Let me just adjust this a little bit so I can see it. So it says disk error, drive not ready. And I can't hear a hard drive spinning up, so I'm assuming that's the problem. Let's try rebooting it. Okay, and now I can hear a hard drive spinning up and seeking. We've got 2 drive activity lights come on. It's looking on the floppy disk drive. It's not going to find anything. So hopefully it's going to look on the hard drive. I've got a flashing cursor, but nothing seems to be happening. Oh, that hard drive is now working. Okay, amazing. That sounds pretty quiet considering how old it is. To give you some context in terms of the age, this was released in 1987, so it's about the same age as the Amstrad PC 1512. I'm just going to reposition the camera so you can see what's on the screen, because that's also quite interesting. Okay, Microsoft mouse driver version 6.1, copyright Microsoft 1987, driver not installed, Microsoft mouse not found. Echo off, load concurrent DOS, yes or no? So Concurrent DOS was a product from Digital Research, who also made a compatible disk operating system that was compatible with Microsoft MS-DOS, but they also made something called Concurrent DOS, which was a multi-user version of DOS, which was sold separately. And I'm surprised this laptop has it on. If it has it on, let's press yes and find out. Concurrent DOS XM for the IBM PC XT, November 1987. Digital Research, hardware supported, disk drives 2. My word, what is this? Claire Network version 1.3. Hit function key F1 for costing, F2 for management, F3 for screen reports, and F4 for setup options. F5 is the logon menu, F8 is the help menu, and F10 to exit to the system. So this obviously was used in some kind of business where they had a networked costing and reporting system. That's pretty impressive. A bit like CPM, we have this status across the bottom. So we've got a telling us what application is running. That presumably says the network is running. Tells us what printer is working. That says US8C, not USB-C. And down here is the clock. And that stays on the screen regardless of what's being displayed elsewhere. This is all very cool. I can't do a direct capture for this because I haven't got one that will take CGA, but hopefully you can see it okay on the screen. So let's press F1 for costing reports. Are there any, press F1 again. Is there actually any data in here? Just thinking about it. It's loading the new module. Oh, okay. Maybe an account number. Index load, it's counting up a number of records. So there is some data in this database. Okay, I think we're gonna have to turn this into 2 videos. One about this laptop, 2 about Concurrent DOS, because that is super cool. So this is a Turbo XT, so this is running an 8088 or an 8086 at 8 megahertz, I believe. So it's flashing any key. So we've gone back to the main menu. Let's exit out of here before we break anything and get back to the command prompt and see what we've got. Okay, being a passive matrix screen, it was smearing as it did the directory there, but actually it wasn't too bad. Let me just show you that again. These are almost readable as they go up. On my Amstrad PPC 640, there's no way you could read any scrolling text. It's just too bad. That's from about the same era. So this screen's a little bit better, and it's backlit. Okay, do we have mem command? No. How about check disk? Okay, so it's not allowed to do to check disk because there are open files, because it's multi-user. This is all very, very cool. Concurrent DOS XM Release 6. Okay, that's really interesting. I've been quickly reading up about Concurrent DOS. So this particular version, Concurrent DOS XM, XM stands for expanded memory. So this could access memory above the 640K. It allows 3 users, 1 logged in at the keyboard and 2 on serial ports. But it also allows the software to run both CPM programs and MS-DOS programs. How cool is that? Development of most of Concurrent DOS looks like was done around this period, was done actually in the UK rather than the US. This is super cool. This is very, very exciting. And in fact, Concurrent DOS looks like it was the starting place for Digital Research DOS. So this is release 6 of Concurrent DOS. That's roughly around the same era as DOS 3.2, 3.3, which would kind of make sense. It's interesting that in here, this is very specifically Microsoft MS-DOS 3.2. probably because of Microsoft's licensing at the time, whereas what's actually installed is a different operating system. Okay, let's see what's actually on here. So let's assume that that command works. It does. Okay, so we're in a directory called PCNet, which is presumably that business application. You can see the directory layout is very CPM, and all these are .cmd files, so these are all CPM files. What's in the root directory? So we have some config.sys, command.com, ccpm.sys. So we've got some standard stuff for loading the operating system. When I say standard, standard for Concurrent DOS. And then we've got some directories here with apps in. We've got Procom, we've got Gem, brilliant. Graphs, that's probably Gem Graph, I'm guessing. We've got a mouse driver, got a tools directory, got a pictures directory, got a flight directory, or flight simulator maybe. We've got a Windows directory as well. Gem Pages, now is that a desktop publishing app for Gem? I'm not familiar with that, I'm familiar with Ventura. WCharts, not sure what that is. Got Concurrent DOS directory here. Got LapLink. And Graph Maps, that was a Gem app. Rapid and PCNet and SP Grapsys and a directory called David, which I'm guessing is the local user. Okay, let's just do it. Let's do Gem. Okay, so I thought I was going to have a dilemma about whether to keep this, because I have several other XT class machines, but I think it goes without saying that given how cool the software install is on this machine, we are definitely going to be keeping this one. Drive A is not responding, that's because it's got nothing in it. So with Gem you can use the mouse, the keypad to move the mouse, and then I think it's home to select. Yep. So we're cancelling that, but it doesn't let us get past this by the looks of it. I'm assuming this is a 720k drive, given that we're XT class at this point. So yeah, Gem isn't loading my looks of it, which is a bit of a shame. Screen's steady, I want me to clean that up a little bit. But yes, this is a 720k drive. It just looks in such good condition. That is very cool. Okay, if Gem doesn't load, we'll have to do something different. Mouse cursor has frozen, so I don't think we're gonna get out of this. Let's do Control Alt and Delete. You have to power cycle it. Let me just quickly clean that screen first and turn it back on. So what happens if we press no to load Concurrent DOS? Do we get through to normal DOS? We do. DOS 3.2 as of the floppy disk. Talking of floppy disk, I've got a 720k here disk if we need it. Let's find out how big this hard disk is. So we have a username there. So it's a 20 megabyte hard disk, and we have 640k of memory. And this again. So now we've got a MS-DOS layout to our directory. Should we try Win? Windows version 2.03, that's the latest you can run on an XT. I'm pretty sure the next version that requires a higher processor, 286. The graphics driver from memory's got 286 instructions in it. Not a lot is happening, but that may just be because it's a 8 megahertz XT. Could be complaining about not having the mouse, of course. Let's do that. Let's get a mouse installed. So there's no PS2. PS2 was only just coming to market at this point. So no PS2 ports. We're going to have to use a serial mouse. I don't know if you noticed on the exterior of the case when we did a look around, there is a blanking plate for a keyboard, but it's not populated, so we can't add an external keyboard to this particular machine. Okay, so it was waiting, but it wasn't hung. We can do Control Alt Delete. Okay, the computer's clean. Just want to show you this because it's so super cool. So what we've got here on the left hand side is a Windows 2000 laptop. In this case, there's an Armada M300 from Compaq running Hyperterminal. All right, and that is connected to the Zenith using a serial cable. Nothing else. There's no network involved per se. It is purely just attached by the serial connection. So let's turn this on and see what happens. So we're going to load Concurrent DOS on the Zenith. We are loading Concurrent DOS here. And we're logged in as a terminal on this one. Absolutely brilliant. So this one's going to load its preordained business software, but we still have a terminal over here, so we can still do things like directories. And we should be able to run a text-based program if we can find one. Let's find out what's in the tools directory. So as I said, this is happening at the same time that this laptop is running its own stuff over here, so we can make that one do stuff as well at the same time. Okay, for some reason it stopped. Maybe I've set the board wrong or something. But as you saw, we're using both at the same time. And this is an 8086 with no network card in or anything. This is purely because Concurrent DOS is letting us access 2 more devices over serial ports. It's only got 1 serial port, so it can only be 1 device. And if you had a mouse plugged in, it couldn't be any devices. But I think that's just so super cool. We need to make a video about Concurrent DOS as a separate thing. But look at that, brilliant. So whilst it was super cool to see Concurrent DOS working, I think we should try and get DOS working as well. To that end, I have plugged in a serial Microsoft mouse. Let's see if it will load the driver and let us get into Windows or Gem. So when it was booting before, it was missing the mouse driver. Let's see if it installs this time, because that happens before you get that choice. Driver installed, excellent. Do you want to load Concurrent DOS? No, this time we are going to just go straight into DOS. So what version was it? 3.31? Yes. No, DOS 3.2, BIOS version 3.31. Okay, so the mouse is loaded. So if we try Win now, what happens? So the disk has just stopped seeking. I heard it thrashing around. Oh no, we just had a second attempt at reading the drive. So don't forget, this is an 8 MHz 8086, 8088 in fact, so performance wise it's going to be pretty poor. It may be that it is just trying to load and it's genuinely taking this long. We'll give it another minute. Obviously we've got no extended or expanded memory, we've just got the 640k. Windows should still load in that, and we can even run a few apps in that, but it doesn't appear to be wanting to go any further. Caps lock key is still working. Oh, I don't think I did that, but we have working Windows. Well, working Windows 2.03. Yeah, the mouse is submarining. As soon as we try and move the mouse, it disappears. I don't know if you can see it, but it's just up here. So let's do the usual stuff. Let's get the clock up. There we go. So that's probably about the most useful use of Windows, because anything that moves the cursor quickly is going to cause some problem. Let's close that. Also, because it's running in CGA, we've got some very thick bars around the windows, which is interesting. Let's do the obligatory calc. There we go. Yep, that seems to be working. Surprise, surprise. No real surprises there. But if we move it around, you can hardly see where it is. I can tweak the contrast a little bit and the brightness, but I don't think we're going to get it any better. What if I change the angle of the screen? Does that help? Maybe a smidge. So we've got all the usual stuff in here, including the fonts and reverse I, etc. But we've got a folder called Excel CBT, and it is full of files. Wow. Okay. One's called account. One's called address. Are these just default CBT computer-based training? Are these some demonstration files, or whether these are actual things, and whether Excel is actually installed or not? I don't know. Just thinking about it. It hasn't given us an error straight away. Excel is loaded, version 2 from 1987. Wow, that is cool. I've got a bit of thing for productivity software, as you can tell. I've got some boxed early Windows software, but I haven't got version 2 of Excel. That would definitely be on my list. I'm assuming this is a demonstration file. It doesn't look like it's anything related to a real business. And because we've got such a limited resolution, we can't display the figures in there. But this looks like good old-fashioned Excel that we know and love today. Help. About. Conventional memory, 175 megs of, sorry, 175 kilobytes of 182 free. So when Windows and Excel are loaded, 182 kilobytes free of your 640. Also on here it talks about Lotus 123 and Multiplan. Multiplan was Microsoft's spreadsheet before it came out with Excel. But this all looks, you know, pretty familiar, doesn't it? So 1987. So that's 38 years ago now. Things haven't changed a lot, have they? Okay, well there's Excel working in 640k of memory on Windows 2 from 1987. Looks like Excel's the only app we have installed. So let's leave the MS-DOS executive. Brilliant. So that works when you've got a mouse attached. It works. But we had Gem, didn't we? So should we try loading Gem again? This time with a mouse driver installed, see if it works. So Gem and Windows 2 and version 1 of Windows did compete in the market for real money at a time around here. So Digital Research was heavily promoting Gem in the same way that Microsoft was heavily promoting Windows. Microsoft had the massive advantage of coming up with some killer apps. Digital Research also had some really good apps at this time. The killer app really for Gem was the desktop publishing package. And in fact, thinking back, most of the apps that came out on Gem were biased more towards the graphical interface, which kind of makes sense and sounds obvious. But if you think about Excel is actually not something that really excels at graphics. It's something that excels at text, numbers, cells, something very rectangular, nothing that really requires graphics in a way until you get to the graphing part of it. Whereas most of the apps that came out for Gem, they were really focused on, there was Gem Draw, there was a Gem Write, there was no spreadsheet that I was ever aware of, desktop publishing. Maybe that's why Gem didn't get on so well, maybe that's why, plus obviously Microsoft had a bigger marketing budget, I suspect. But if Excel had been ported to Gem, that would have been an interesting story, wouldn't it? Anyway, Gem is working. And if you're an Atari ST fan, you'll be familiar with what you're seeing at the moment. This was also on the Amstrad PC 1512 when it came to market. And that was my first experience of a Windows graphical user interface. So this is very familiar to me. I know what apps we've got installed here. So we've got Gem Pages. So that is not the desktop publishing one I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of Ventura. But this looks like it does the same thing. So Gem Draw Plus came from Digital Research. There weren't that many third-party developers for Gem, really. Not on the PC platform. Obviously the Atari ST was slightly different. And here we have a California map in Gem Draw. But being CGA, we have it in the rather lovely monochrome. So you can attach a color monitor to externally to this laptop, but internally the display obviously is monochrome. And I'm guessing, yeah, if you look at the color selection, we've got black or white. So basically, the driver that Gem is currently using is using the high-res CGA mode, not the low-res color mode. But that was Gem Draw. This is Gem Paint. So this is the bitmap version of graphic editing from Digital Research. So what have we got here? Something we can't see the whole of it. Present Unlimited, maybe? Can we zoom? That's line thickness, that's not zoom. I'm not sure we can zoom. Oh, hang on. There's a microscope here. So we can zoom in and we can edit pixels, but I don't think we can zoom out. Which version of Paint is it? Gem Paint 2.0 from 1988. So this is Gem 3, by the way. I've upset it now. Won't let me have the menus. Mouse is still working, although you can't see it because it's submarining. But we're not able to close this window or exit this application. Control-Alt-Delete works from within Gem. Okay, so we've got the Publisher app, we've got the Graphing app, Word Plus, Word Chart, Draw, Paint, First Mail, looks like a mail merge. Okay, so actually we do have some third-party apps installed. So let's just have a quick look at Publisher. So I don't know who makes this. I don't think it was Digital Research. Gem Desktop Publisher, copyright. Oh, it's from Digital Research. Okay, I've never seen this before. Having used Gem back in the day, this was not an app I was familiar with. And it's not part of the standard Gem install. Okay, but it seems like it's your standard desktop publishing app. Zoom out, let's open a document. Sample 1. So this laptop's pretty loaded. It's got a full install of Gem with some third-party apps. It's got, so with some optional apps. It's got Windows with an optional app. It's got Excel on there. Plus it's got that custom CPM concurrent DOS business management software on there. Someone was using this, you know, actively, this little laptop. So here we have the California map in the middle of a document. We're zoomed out at the moment. Let's zoom in to normal. In other words, 100% zoom. Artichoke sales boom. Not enough resolution to give us the text yet, so let's zoom into 2. So performance is pretty sluggish, isn't it? You probably wouldn't want to be doing desktop publishing as your day job on this. But it's possible. It's possible. What a great little laptop. Gem suffered the same problem as Windows in the beginning in that fonts were individually rasterized at specific sizes and particular, you know, bold and italic. So fonts were limited unless you start buying third-party fonts from font companies. This is before Adobe Type Manager, and Adobe Type Manager was never written for Gem, as far as I'm aware. Plus printer support was a bit limited as well. So unless you had the right hardware, you couldn't really get the most out of Gem. Windows 2 had the same problem, of course, and it wasn't until Adobe Type Manager came out for Windows 3, I think it was, and then TrueType came out that Windows really took off from a desktop publishing point of view. Same applied to DOS, of course, so WordPerfect for DOS had its own fonts that it would include in the install. So we have got this user directory here, and it has got some files in it, and they're Gem files. Should we? Should not? Let's have a quick look. So it's opening up Gem Draw Plus. So that's the vector editing software. And it has got a file in there, proposal summary. Let's not zoom out and look at the detail, but somebody was using this, or at least attempting to use this. This is super cool. Super cool. However, the video is going to be 4 hours long if we keep looking at Gem. So what we need to do next is have a look at this floppy disk drive, see if this is working. So I have here a 720k DOS disk. Don't give me any hate. It was like this when I got it. It's obviously from an Atari ST magazine, but I do know that it's not got that on it. It's got something on it. I can't remember what it is. It's from a batch of discs that I got, and most of them didn't have the original content on, unfortunately. But let's see if this laptop can boot from a floppy disk drive. Okay, sounds like, or feels like, that drive needs a service. Something is pushing down on the disk as I inject it. It's not going in. Rather bizarrely, do you have this? So this is the Zenith Data Systems external floppy disk drive, and I got it on eBay a few months ago, fairly cheap because no one knew what it was. It has, the model number doesn't really come up on in Google when you search for it, but I bought it anyway just on the off chance that I would get a Zenith laptop that it was compatible with, and I've got a feeling this floppy disk drive might work with this computer, so let's find out. It's got the right kind of connector, and it has a plier to plug in. I don't know if this works. It's just complete coincidence that I had it. Can we get a disc in and out? That works. Let's turn this on. Let's see what happens. Okay, and we've got an error on the screen. Disk error, invalid address mark. So it's not happy that this drive is here. I didn't notice a switch to allow us to disable the internal floppy to turn on the external floppy. There's definitely an external floppy disk port on the back. So whether there's something you need to configure in the BIOS to make this work, I don't know. So while we're talking about it, Zeniths of this age have this very weird, by modern standards, monitor built into the computer. A lot of 8-bit computers had this actually. So this is called the MFN 180 monitor, version 3.0b. And basically it's like a hardware monitor that runs independently of the operating system and does have some built-in stuff. So it has some built-in stuff. You can choose where to boot from, you can look at memory, you can change memory, you can execute from a certain memory location. So it's a bit like a debugger. Very cool. Not super useful most of the time. So we could use this to boot from drive 0, 1, 2 or 3. So drive 0, I think from memory is the hard disk. Yeah, I think so. But it also has this built-in test, disk read test. So let's try that. So it's trying to read the floppy disk drive A. Device error, there's no floppy in there, so that's why. There's a keyboard test. So it just fills the screen with whatever key you've pressed. There's a memory test. So that's running up through memory, checking that it's all okay. That will take a little while, so we'll escape that. There's a power up test, not sure what that is. But it seems to be running through it very quickly because we've done 20 iterations already. So let's escape that. So we can't use this monitor to help us work out what's going on with this drive. And we still can't put a floppy disk in there, unfortunately. That's a shame because mechanically it fits in the port that's on there, but obviously electrically it doesn't. If we push that down, does that make a difference? No, disk error, invalid address mark. There's no jumpers on here that I've found. And as I said, there's no switch on the back of the machine. Like Toshibas of this age have a switch where you can change the internal drive to a drive B and the external drive to a drive A, for example. But I haven't noticed one of those on this machine. Okay, so the one possibility is that this drive is not compatible with this machine, even though it fits. The other possibility is that I'm missing a switch that I need to press to enable that functionality. But for now, let's turn it off and unplug it. Just turn it back on just to make sure it is going to work again. Disk error, invalid address mark. Oh no, oh no, have I broken it? I told it to boot from hard disk. Oh, it's working now. So it's booting from hard disk 3. From disk 3, which is the hard disk. So we have managed to recover that. I'm not sure why plugging that in has upset it, but it has. So apologies, Zenith. I thought you two would get on really well. Just looking under here for more dip switches. Can't see any. Okay, so this laptop doesn't like this floppy disk drive. Let's get rid of it. So I haven't been able to find a setup command on the hard disk. We did find a couple of things though. So if we go in here, we've got XT Pro, which is a very handy file manager. I had that when I bought my first hard card back on my Amstrad PC 1512. So I love XT Pro, so that's nice that's on there. There's a couple of specific things for Zenith. ZCOM looks like some kind of very basic version of LapLink, I think. I haven't got another Zenith system out to show you that, but I think that's how it works. The other thing I found was Ship, and that's basically a hard disk parking app. So do I want to park the hard drive to move the computer somewhere else? Not on this occasion, no. So those are the only specific things I could find for Zenith. I haven't been able to find any way of getting into a BIOS in this. Getting into the machine code monitor seems to be the only thing you can do. Interesting that we've upset it, We can still boot using the machine code monitor to boot to the hard disk. Just been reading, yeah, it's been reading the manual. It says the default boot device is BW, and it's definitely looking for a drive on that external thing, but it just can't connect to that one that was connected, and now it's been disconnected, it's still looking for it. I think maybe it was expecting a 5¼ inch drive, and somehow I've upset it, but we can still boot from the hard drive. Okay, having found the PDF manual that somebody has very kindly archived for us, there are some dip switches on this machine which are hidden underneath, so let's see if we can find those. So here, under this rubber bung, apparently are some dip switches. And indeed there are. Switch 1 is at the bottom, switch 8 is at the top. On is towards me, off is away from me. So with these I can affect some change to the hard disk and floppy disk sequence apparently. You can also control 4 to 80 column mode, you can control whether there's an external monitor plugged in, and you can control the CPU speed as well. So we do need to investigate these a little bit and see if we can get that error message to disappear on boot. While we've got the computer upside down, this is the battery. So I haven't taken this out or looked at this, but it would be sensible to do that now. So I don't know how this works. I think presumably these are 4 captive screws. And then this cover comes off. And there we have a battery pack, which looks suspiciously like C-cells all stuck together. Do not disassemble. Battery pack ZA18045, 250 milliamp hours at 12 volts. Doesn't appear to be leaking, so that's nice. It looks like there's these spacers here. You could probably fit a slightly bigger battery in should you need to. Cool. We haven't checked that battery, see if it works. Should we try that? This is a very well engineered battery compartment. Possibly the best engineered battery compartment I've ever seen. Don't forget this was the early days of battery powered laptops. So let's turn it on, see if it's got any juice in the battery. Holy moly, it's come on. Hard drive spinning up and everything. Amazing. The battery is nearly 40 years old and it's working. Yes, we can boot. I've got no idea how long the battery is going to last, but it is working. This 37-year-old battery, 38-year-old battery is working. Amazing. Okay, I've been using this for a few minutes. Let's start up an app called X3 Pro. So this is a file manager. I'm not going to use it, but the reason I'm bringing this up is because it's all working completely fine and the low power indicator hasn't even come on. So I've got no idea how long this battery is going to last, but it seems to be in usable condition. You know, it's not a 2 or 3 minute battery. I can probably get some work done on this machine. The problem with the floppy disk drive does limit me taking it to a coffee shop and writing some stuff down, but I know what it is. It's the mechanism that brings the 2 parts of the drive apart to eject the disk. They've got gummed up. So basically it's not moving up properly, so you can't get a disk in. That's what it feels like. So it needs taking apart and lubricating, which is a shame, because otherwise this machine is in pretty good working order. So there we have it. This absolutely amazing machine from 1987. The machine's working. I can't believe how well it's working. When it arrived in the post, I wasn't even sure it was going to survive being posted, let alone actually working. But we have a decent machine. Everything seems to work, apart from the floppy disk drive, which just needs a service. I need to work out how to make it forget that external drive, which didn't work out so well. But the machine itself, working. The hard drive's working. It's got a full install of the original operating system. It's got some apps from the era with some user data on there, which we'll have to deal with. But I am very, very pleased with my Zenith purchase. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you in the next one.